football when we know playoff football usually comes down to one possession? It's a one-possession game usually in playoff football. So I agree with you in terms of their offense. I believe their offense is one of the top offenses in the National Football League. Heck, the numbers say so. But when you go into that mindset knowing we have to play flawless football, it usually doesn't happen like that in January football. So that is my concern, because some of the other teams that we're talking about that we believe will be in the tournament, we all believe more in their defense than the Detroit Lions defense, is primarily by fault because they're healthier. And that's just my biggest concern, because you're talking about a guy who was a third stringer, who's been a fourth stringer, a guy who they just caught off the streets. You're telling him, hey, I need you to deliver when the lights get its brightest. Sometimes that could be a tall task to ask for a guy who's not supposed to be out there like that for 4 quarters.
And maybe those role players will play better at home, which is to pay off that graphic that if the Lions can secure that 1 seed, the road through to the Super Bowl in the NFC goes through Ford Field. They get to stay indoors. They get to stay at home and let that Jared Goff offense go to work out there on the field. All right, let's get to one of the teams that we talk a lot about. Boy, nobody wants to play them if they get into the dance, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. And B-Mac, I'm going to give you first word because Joe Burrow all of a sudden is climbing into this conversation with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He was like 100-1 before the Bronco game, peaked at 20-1, still around 30-1. What do you think about Joe Burrow's MVP chances, B-Mac, if Cincinnati can get in?
Well, I'm loving that he's getting traction in the MVP conversation, because his play on the football field definitely warrants that. Now, me personally, do I think he will win the MVP or should win the MVP? No. And here's why. Lamar Jackson has been better, in my opinion. Lamar Jackson has been better for the entire length of the season, in my opinion. And then when you look at the 2 head-to-head matchups between Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow was unbelievable. Only 2 players have won the MVP, not making the playoffs. You gotta go back to, there you have it, Johnny Unitas, O.J. Simpson, right? Now, when you look at not winning your division, only 10 players have done that in the history of this award. So history tells us you have to, number one, get into the playoffs, and most importantly, you have to win your division. Adrian Peterson was the last MVP to win the award, not winning his division, and that happened in 2020 and 2012. I, for one, don't like that, because I think when you're the best player, whatever team you're a part of, that should mean something in terms of your ability to keep the team afloat, because basically you're doing more than some of the other potential candidates, because your team might not be that good. But I think in terms of history, that's against Joe Burrow. And because of Lamar Jackson, because I feel like Lamar Jackson has been the best quarterback in the National Football League, in my opinion. And when you look at Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow is right there. But just from the month of September to currently in December, Lamar Jackson has been steady Eddie.
Yeah, B-Mac, Joe Burrow has no chance, right? There was so much to decipher on what you said. I liken it to this, right? When you look at the Cincinnati Bengals versus winning teams this year, you know they have a 1-7 record, and it was 0-7 before they beat the Denver Broncos last week. Now, people will say, well, Joe Burrow doesn't play on the defensive side of the ball. B-Mac, you alluded to it. When you're the quarterback, a lot falls on you, and it's your job to elevate your team if there's some deficiencies there, especially if you want to be in that rare air when you're talking about being a top 2 or top 3 player in the NFL. Let's go back to that Commanders game. Versus a rookie, Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels didn't punt 1 time versus Cincinnati Bengals, right? If you're Joe Burrow, going into that game, you have to realize we have a deficiency on that side of the ball. If you're going to be an MVP candidate, you have to go out there and score on every single possession. Yes, there's more pressure to that, but let's not forget, Jaden Daniels had the same pressure. And B-Mac, he's a rookie quarterback, and he elevated his team. So, yes, Joe Burrow has played out of his mind this year, over 4,500 yards, over 40 passing touchdowns. But when you look at the most valuable player, right, it's that player that can elevate his team when things aren't going right. How many times did we see Josh Allen have to go toe-to-toe with teams and put the team on his back and win games? Lamar Jackson had to do it against the Cincinnati Bengals and other teams multiple times. So that's why I say there's no way Joe Burrow can win this award. Yes, he's been amazing this year, but when you talk about the most valuable, when things aren't going right, Can you elevate your team to a win, even when there's deficiencies on one side of the football?
All right, we'll see how it all plays out. Joe Burrow and the Bengals with a slim chance at the playoffs. We'll see how that all plays out. Well, a team that's not in playoff contention, the New England Patriots. This team facing so many questions this offseason. A loss this weekend against Buffalo will clinch the #1 overall pick for New England in the upcoming NFL draft. They're obviously going to prioritize the draft with or without head coach Rod Mayo, who we know his job security has kind of been a topic of discussion. Now we're hearing Mike Vrabel's name thrown into this discussion. Where does this Patriots team go from here this offseason?
Yeah, to me, and again, I'm not for tanking. As a player that had to lay it on the line, I know what it takes to be out there on the NFL field, but they need to get that #1 pick, Jordan. They already have their quarterback of the future. They need to put some pieces around him so he can have some success. And the best way to do that, B-Mac, is to have a bidding war for that #1 pick, right? There's multiple teams behind them that are going to want to trade up to secure that #1 seed. That way they can help Drake May out in the future.
I'm right there with you, LeJay. I mean, potentially, if they can get the #1 pick for 2025 NFL's draft, it's like having the best piece on the Monopoly board, best piece of a real estate. Everybody wants it, but you have it. So now you got to go ahead and negotiate with the highest bidder because, to your point, the best way for the Patriots to become relevant and become competitive is adding more resources via the draft. They will have the most money, if I'm not mistaken, available in terms of cap space. So you got the dollars to play with, and it's not monopoly money. It's actually real money. And if you can get extra picks because you have the #1 pick in this year's draft and you do not need a quarterback because you already have your quarterback of the future, that is the best way to capitalize on a great offseason for the Patriots.
Yep, it would give them a lot of options. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on CBS Sports HQ.
Movie camera, hey there, Cowboys Nation. We've got some electrifying news that could change the course of our beloved team. 2 potential roster moves are stirring up excitement in the Dallas Cowboys fan base. One of them is official, and the other is in advanced talks that could bring a former star back to the Lone Star State. But hang tight, I won't reveal the juicy details until after 50 seconds of reading. While you wait, let's reflect. Could these moves be the key to building a stronger, playoff-bound Cowboys squad in 2025? Stick around, because you don't want to miss this. 3 o'clock, here's the current landscape. As the 2024 season winds down, it's no secret that the Cowboys have had their struggles. A year marked by inconsistency and injury left us watching the playoffs from the sidelines. But in true Cowboys fashion, the front office isn't wasting any time getting to work. Defense has been a sticking point, and they've kicked off their offseason strategy with not 1, but 2 bold moves aimed at shoring up this critical area. Fire the first move is confirmed. The Cowboys have officially signed cornerback Luq Barku, a former Pittsburgh Steeler. Barku's career has seen its ups and downs, with stints on practice squads for teams like the Jets, Cardinals, and Chiefs. An injury derailed his chances with the Steelers earlier this year, but his impressive play in the XFL with the San Antonio Brahmas reignited interest in his potential. Barku joins our practice squad for now, but insiders believe he's a strong candidate for a futures contract and could fight for a spot on the active roster in 2025. He's young, hungry, and eager to prove he belongs in the NFL. Lightbulb, the second move, is generating buzz. The Cowboys are deep in negotiations to bring Jamal Adams back to Texas. Yes, the 3-time Pro Bowler and former All-Pro safety who once dreamed of donning the Cowboys' iconic star could finally make that dream a reality. After a rocky year that saw him released by both the Tennessee Titans and Detroit Lions, Adams is on the market and looking for a fresh start. Despite his recent challenges, Adams is just 29 years old and could bring much-needed leadership and playmaking ability to our defensive backfield. Sources close to the team say talks are progressing well, and we could see an announcement soon. Chart increasing, what does this mean for the Cowboys' future? These moves highlight a clear strategy. Invest in a defense that can stand tall in critical moments. Barku represents untapped potential and depth, while Adams could bring star power and a veteran presence to a young and evolving unit. Together, they could address some of the glaring issues that held the team back this year. It's a signal to fans and opponents alike. The Cowboys are gearing up for a serious comeback in 2025. Flex Biceps, what's your take? Cowboys fans, are you excited about these moves? Do you think Barku can make a splash in training camp? And how do you feel about Jamal Adams? Could he be the missing piece our defense needs, or should we look elsewhere? Megaphone, join the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, share this video with your fellow Cowboys fans, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Smash the notification bell so you're always up to date on the latest news, analysis, and rumors about America's team. American football, go Cowboys! Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's build a team we can all be proud of, one move at a time.